The church was so beautiful it looked like a fairy tale. Colorful light danced through the tall windows. White flowers covered every corner. 200 people sat quietly in their fancy clothes, waiting for the magic moment. James stood at the front, his heart beating fast. He wore a perfect black suit. His brown hair was neat and shiny. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of his life. Next to him stood Victoria in a wedding dress that sparkled like snow. Her dark hair was pulled back under a long white veil. She smiled at him, and James thought she looked like a princess. The old priest opened his big book. "We are here today to join James and Victoria in marriage," he said in a deep, serious voice. James barely listened. He was thinking about their future together. A big house. Maybe kids someday. Growing old together. This was it. This was what winning at life looked like. The ceremony went on and on. People read poems. Someone sang a song. Then the priest said the words everyone was waiting for. "If anyone knows why these two should not get married, speak now or stay quiet forever." Nobody ever spoke during this part. It was just something priests always said. "Please don't marry her." A scream cut through the quiet church like a knife. Everyone turned around fast. At the back of the church stood a small boy. He looked about 7 years old. His skin was dark brown, and his black hair stuck up in every direction. His shirt was torn and dirty, way too big for his skinny body. His feet were bare and covered in dirt. A homeless kid. Right in the middle of a rich people's wedding. "Please!" the boy shouted again, his voice shaking. "Please don't marry her. You can't." James felt Victoria's hand squeeze his arm super tight. He looked at her face. For just 1 second, he saw something strange flash in her eyes. Was it fear? Anger? It disappeared so fast he couldn't tell. "Get security," Victoria whispered through her teeth. 2 big guards in black suits were already running toward the boy. But the kid didn't run away. Instead, he ran forward, straight down the middle of the church toward James. "Mr. James!" the boy yelled. "Mr. James, please. You have to listen to me." James felt his stomach drop. "He knows my name," James thought, shocked. "How does he know my name?" The boy dodged around one guard like he was playing tag. He kept running, his bare feet slapping against the shiny floor. He made it halfway down before the second guard grabbed him around the waist and lifted him up. "No. Let me go." The boy kicked and twisted. "He needs to know the truth." "Get that child out of here now," Victoria snapped. Her voice was cold and sharp, like a teacher yelling at a bad student. But James held up his hand. "Wait. James, don't," Victoria said quickly. "This is just some crazy kid. We should keep going with the wedding." "He knows my name," James said slowly. "And he's saying you're lying to me. I think I need to hear what he wants to say." Victoria's face went pale under her makeup. "This is ridiculous, James. Don't do this." But James was already walking down from the altar. The guests gasped. The priest looked confused. Victoria called his name, but he didn't turn around. He walked to where the guard held the struggling boy. "Put him down," James said quietly. "Sir, I don't think." "Put him down." The guard let go. The boy immediately grabbed James's hand with both of his small, dirty hands. "Mr. James, my name is Marcus. Do you remember me?" James looked at the boy's face really carefully. Then it hit him like a punch. "The shelter," he whispered. "Yes." Marcus's face lit up with hope. 3 months ago. You were at the Riverside Homeless Shelter volunteering. You helped me and my mom. You gave us food and blankets. You talked to my mom about finding a job." James did remember. He volunteered at the shelter once a month ever since his little brother died homeless 2 years ago. He remembered this polite little boy and his tired mother. "I remember, Marcus," James said. "How's your mom? Did she find work?" Marcus's smile disappeared. His eyes filled with sadness. "She did find work, mister. James. She found work as a housekeeper. But the family she works for. He took a shaky breath. It's her family. Your bride's family. James felt ice shoot through his whole body. What? Marcus, that's enough. Victoria's voice cracked like a whip behind him. James, don't listen to him. He's lying or confused. Let him speak, James said without looking back at her. Marcus glanced nervously at Victoria, then back at James. His voice came out fast, like he was afraid he'd lose his chance to speak. My mom works at the Ashton house. She cleans their rooms and cooks their food. And Mr. James. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. She sees things. She hears things. What kind of things? James asked. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Marcus took a deep breath. Miss Victoria has another man. Miss Victoria has another man, Marcus said, his words tumbling out fast. A man named Richard. He comes to the house when you're at work. He's been coming for over a year. The church went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. My mom sees him there all the time, Marcus continued, gripping James's hand tighter. She hears them talking, laughing. They talk about how you don't know. About how after the wedding, after she gets access to your money, she's going to divorce you and take half of everything. Then she and Richard are going to. That is enough. Victoria's scream echoed off the church walls. She had left the altar and now stood a few feet away, her beautiful face twisted with anger. This is lies. This is a homeless child making up stories. James, you cannot possibly believe this. But James wasn't looking at her. He was staring at Marcus with a strange, calm expression. Richard Morrison, James said quietly. Tall guy, dark hair, works in real estate. Marcus nodded fast. Yes, that's him. You know him. He's my college roommate, James said. His voice sounded empty, like something had broken inside. He's my best man. He's standing right there at the altar. James slowly turned to look at the front of the church. For men in black suits stood frozen like statues. One of them, the tallest one with dark hair, had gone completely white in the face. Richard Morrison stood there, looking like he might throw up. James, I can explain, Richard started. Don't. James's voice was so cold that Richard actually stepped backward. Don't say a single word. James turned to Victoria. The woman he was about to marry. The woman he thought he knew. Is it true? He asked. James, please. Victoria's voice changed, got softer, more sweet. You can't believe a homeless child over me. Over us. We're about to get married. Is it true? James's voice boomed through the church. Victoria's face changed fast. Angry, then calculating, then defiant. She seemed to realize that lying wouldn't work with 200 people watching. Her chin lifted up. Her eyes went cold. Fine, she said. Yes. Richard and I have been seeing each other. But James, you have to understand, you're never home. You're always working, working, working. Richard actually makes time for me. He actually listens to me. He actually... For a year, James interrupted. His hands were shaking. You've been cheating on me with my best friend for a year. And you were going to marry me anyway. Why? Victoria laughed. It was a mean, cold laugh that made Marcus step closer to James. Because you're worth $40 million, James, she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And I'm a lawyer. A good one. I know exactly how much I'd get in a divorce after 2 years of marriage. Richard and I have plans. Big plans. And your money is going to pay for all of them. Gasps filled the church. Someone in the back row said, "Oh my God." Another person started crying. James felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. 3 years. 3 years of his life with this woman. Planning their future. Talking about having kids. Building what he thought was love. All fake. All lies. All for money. He looked down at Marcus, who was watching him with worried eyes. How did you know to come here today? James asked gently. My mom, Marcus said. Last night, she heard Miss Victoria and Mr. Richard talking. They were laughing about how they were going to pull it off. How you were too nice and too trusting to ever figure it out. My mom felt really bad. She wanted to tell you, but she was scared she'd lose her job and we'd be homeless again. So I came instead. I had to warn you. How did you get here, Marcus? This church is far from the shelter. I walked. It took 3 hours. I wasn't sure I'd make it in time. Tears rolled down Marcus's cheeks. I'm sorry I yelled in church. I know that was bad. But I couldn't let you marry someone who was just using you. You were nice to me and my mom when nobody else was. You helped us. I couldn't let her hurt you. Something broke in James's chest. This little boy had walked 3 hours on bare feet to save him from a nightmare, while his own bride and best friend had spent a year planning to rob him. James knelt down so he was face to face with Marcus. Marcus, he said softly, you have nothing to be sorry for. You just saved me from the biggest mistake of my life. He stood up and faced Victoria and Richard. All the sadness drained out of him. Now there was only cold, hard anger. Get out, he said. Both of you. Get out of this church right now. James, be reasonable, Victoria started. Out. James roared so loud that Victoria actually stumbled backward. You used me. You both betrayed me. And you were going to go through with it, weren't you? You were going to say vows you didn't mean. Make promises you'd never keep. All for money. He pulled the rose from his jacket and dropped it on the floor. The wedding is over. The engagement is over. Whatever we had is over. He turned to Richard. I hope she was worth it, because you just lost everything. You lost me. You lost your reputation. And after everyone here tells this story, and they will, you'll lose your career too. For a moment, nobody moved. The whole church held its breath. Then Victoria grabbed her dress and ran. Her high heels clicked fast on the floor. Her veil streamed behind her like a white flag of surrender. Richard followed, his head down, unable to look at anyone. The church doors slammed shut behind them. The silence that followed was deafening. For a long moment, nobody in the church moved. Nobody spoke. 200 people sat frozen, trying to process what they just witnessed. Then James turned to face them all. I apologize for the disruption, he said, his voice steady now. But thank you all for coming. There will be no wedding today. He paused. Then a small smile appeared on his face. However, there's a reception hall full of food and an open bar that's already paid for. Please, go enjoy it. Celebrate with me. Celebrate dodging a bullet. A nervous laugh rippled through the crowd. Then one person started clapping. Then another. Then another. Soon the whole church was applauding. Not for a wedding, but for the homeless boy who stopped one and the man who was brave enough to listen. James turned back to Marcus and knelt down again. Where's your mom right now? He asked. She's still at the Ashton house working. She's probably going to get fired when Miss Victoria tells her family what happened. No, she's not, James said firmly. Because I'm going to hire her myself. And I'm going to pay her double what the Ashtons did. Triple, actually. Marcus's eyes went wide. Really? Really? Your mom is honest and brave. She raised a son who walked 3 hours to help a stranger. That's the kind of person I want working with me. James stood up and held out his hand. And Marcus, would you and your mom like to come to the reception? There's going to be a lot of food. I think you deserve the best meal of your life after walking 3 hours to save me. Marcus's face exploded into the biggest, brightest smile James had ever seen. Really? We can come. You're the guest of honor. As they walked down the aisle together, the almost groom in his perfect black suit and the homeless boy in his torn, dirty shirt, something magical happened. The guests stood up, one by one. They parted like a wave, making a path for them. Many were wiping tears from their eyes. They had just witnessed something rare and precious. Truth beating lies. A child's courage saving a grown-up's future. And a man realizing that the most valuable people aren't always the ones wearing expensive clothes. Sometimes they're wearing torn shirts and bare feet. At the reception hall, James kept his promise. He called Marcus's mom, Maria, and told her everything. She cried with relief and joy. Within an hour, she arrived at the hall, still in her housekeeper uniform, and hugged her son so tight he squeaked. James offered her a job on the spot as his personal household manager. 3 times her old salary. Health insurance. A small house on his property where she and Marcus could live. Maria cried again. "Why?" she asked. "Why are you doing this for us?" James looked at Marcus, who was stuffing his face with cake and chicken, his eyes wide with happiness. "Because your son saved my life today," James said simply. "And because 2 years ago, my little brother died homeless. Nobody helped him when he needed it most. Maybe if someone had shown him kindness like I'm showing you now, he'd still be here." He smiled. "Besides, you raised an incredible kid. That tells me everything I need to know about you." The reception turned into a celebration. Not of a wedding, but of truth and courage and new beginnings. People came up to Marcus all night, shaking his hand, taking pictures with him. He went from being a homeless boy to being a hero. The local news even showed up and interviewed him. "I was just doing what was right," Marcus told the camera, shy but proud. "Mr. James helped me when I needed it, so I helped him back. That's what friends do." 3 months later, Marcus started at a new school. He had new clothes, new shoes, and a backpack full of supplies. He had his own bedroom with a real bed and toys on the shelves. Maria thrived in her new job. She managed James's home perfectly, and more than that, she became like family to him. James never married Victoria, obviously. He heard later that Richard lost his job after the story spread. Victoria tried to sue James for emotional distress, but no lawyer would take her case. Not after 200 witnesses saw what really happened. As for James, he learned something important that day in the church. Real love isn't about fancy dresses or expensive weddings or having the right kind of person on your arm. Real love is about honesty, trust, people who see you, really see you, not just your bank account. And sometimes, the people who love you most aren't the ones you expect. Sometimes they're 7-year-old boys with bare feet who walk 3 hours to tell you the truth. 1 year after the almost wedding, James stood in his backyard watching Marcus play soccer with some friends. Maria was setting up a birthday party for her son's 9th birthday. James smiled. This was what happiness looked like. Not a cathedral full of people watching a lie, but a backyard full of real friends, real love, and real family. Marcus ran over, breathless and grinning. "Mr. James, come play with us." "I'm coming," James laughed, jogging over to join the game. And as he ran across the grass with these people who actually cared about him, James thought about that day in the church. The day a homeless boy's courage changed everything. He'd lost a bride, a best friend, and a future he thought he wanted. But he'd gained something so much better. He'd gained truth, honor, and a family built on love instead of lies. And that was worth more than $40 million could ever buy. If this story touched your heart, don't just watch, take action. Hit that like button if you believe courage comes in small packages. Drop a comment below. Would you have believed Marcus? Have you ever had to expose a hard truth to protect someone? And subscribe for more stories where the powerless speak up and the truth wins. Your support helps us share more stories that matter.